shutdown updates. That is where we begin. The man in the middle, boy, well, he's getting squeezed by members of his own party, you could say. The House failed on Wednesday to pass a 6-month GOP government funding plan that included a useless measure targeting non-citizen voting. They always get hung up on this stuff that really doesn't matter, but it's what they like to do. That's their playbook. House vote was 202 to 220, 14 Republicans voting against it, 2 Republicans voting present, 3 Democrats voting for it. The 6-month funding plan from House Republicans would have extended government funding until March 2025. The proposal includes the SAVE Act, a GOP-led bill that passed the House on a standalone basis in July, would require documentary proof, of U.S. citizenship to register to vote in federal elections, despite the fact that it is already illegal for non-citizens to vote in federal elections. CNN with the reporting. Now, the deadline the government gave for the shutdown is Monday, September 30th. So here we are again. It is looming, midnight. So, the cables will, have a countdown clock and there'll be, pundits on and going back and forth. They'll do that for probably a 24-hour stretch, what they do. Who knows if it'll garner ratings. Donald Trump, right before the vote pushed to shut down the government. This is your Republican presidential nominee. Let's look at it. If Republicans don't get the SAVE Act and every ounce of it, they should not agree to a continuing resolution in any way, shape, or form. This guy, okay? Their dear leader, once again, pushing out what he thinks should happen. A vote must happen before the election, not after. Not after the election, when it's too late. Be smart, Republicans. Well, how are they going to achieve that? You've been pushed around long enough by the Democrats. Don't let it happen again. Remember, this is Biden-Harris's fault, not yours. So that's on Truth Social. How many people saw it? Did you see it? I just shared it in case you don't have Truth Social. Johnson, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, fresh off the debate, and he's calling me now, apparently, on the House floor. So I can't take your call, Mike Johnson. You better worry about your own party and caucus there. And so now we go back to the playbook, draw up another play, and we'll come up with a solution. I'm already talking to colleagues about their many ideas. Really? MTG? Maybe it's Boebert. We have time to fix the situation. We'll get it right. We'll get right to it. I'm disappointed, he told reporters, CNN. So here we are again. It's like when Mike Johnson told his people at their retreat, I'm tired of you putting up other Republican candidates to run against incumbent Republicans. We have to get along. And I joked at the time that as soon as he turned around, they probably threw spitballs at him. They're not listening. They're not going to listen. And he doesn't have a command of his party. How do you assess this situation? Because Donald Trump seems to be able to just shout in all caps on Truth Social and they fall in line.
Well, they don't seem to want to have solutions. We saw famously in the debate when asked about his replacement for Obamacare, he said, I got concepts. They got concepts, you see, Sharon. They're the concept party, but they don't really have any solutions. And they keep tying these crazy extra little things to these bills. This whole SAVE Act, as you and I know, as anyone who with an iota of intelligence knows it, it's all just nonsense because, as you said, non-citizens can't vote. They're not voting. There hasn't been voter fraud. And yet they present it in such a way that makes, I've had people say, well, what's wrong with having to show your ID? What's wrong with having to show your birth certificate or your passport? Which seems logical. Sure. What's wrong with showing your passport or your birth certificate? Until you find out that the high percentage of Americans don't even have passports.
That's right.
Most people don't know where their birth certificate is. You're just making people jump through hoops so that they are discouraged to vote as opposed to being encouraged to vote. And then the names they give it, the SAVE Act. I mean, I looked it up. It's the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. The truth is they're trying to confuse American voters. So it should be called the CAVE Act because, it's to confuse people to not vote And this guy Johnson's got, he's got no control. I mean, it's amazing when you put up Johnson against Pelosi and what Pelosi was able to do. Pelosi wouldn't bring a vote to the floor until she knew she had the votes, and they would go do it. This Republican Congress, as we saw from the moment they got in and they started having all those votes for Kevin McCarthy, it's just chaos. And this is what happens when the Republicans lead. And this is what would happen if Trump were to win. It would be chaos all over the place because it's constantly throwing stuff at the wall that is not something that's popular. It's not something that actually makes sense. And, having to backtrack it. I mean, again, a great example from Trump was when he did the Muslim ban originally in his first presidency, and they kept throwing different versions of that until one kind of stuck. And so these guys are the same. They really don't have any solutions, and all they know is to get in the way. And the truth is, if they get in the way and there's a government shutdown, they're to blame, and hopefully it'll help them. I mean, it'll hurt them, I should say, up and down the ballot.
Well, that was going to be another question because it just seems so stupid. Number one, you're right. All they know, and it's just like you learn as you mature, I would hope, you enter adulthood, that you can't threaten and scare your way through every negotiation, even navigating life. But this is who they are. And anytime they want, more in this little fake dog and pony show that they're doing with the ID and you must be a citizen and just this nonsense. It reminds me of, what do they want next from Black Americans? Do you want my free Black papers? Is that what you're looking for? That's what it feels like because that's how they intend it. And this speaker, and I have no sympathy, none whatsoever, is in a jam because he's trying to, I won't say escape who he has been for much of his life, this way out of control, crazy conservative. People need to understand his true background. He tried now when he stepped out in front of folks in a more prominent way to seem reasonable, to seem normal, and he's not. And now he's in a jam, and I don't think he's going to be able to get out of it, but I really do think it is so dumb. You're just going to be blamed for it, okay? My daughter knows about Project 2025 from TikTok. Okay, the American people, not as stupid as you think. So we'll see.
Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen, and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.